Hello and welcome back to Music Nuggets. Today's nugget is a bit of a bite-sized one, but one that I think is really important, and I've been meaning to do this for a long time. So it's all about how important octaves are to guitar players. And to demonstrate this, if we just look at the keyboard, piano players, to play a voicing or an arpeggio of say C major 7th, they would say root, 3rd, 5th, major 7th, and then back to the root again. And you can see that all of these notes, they have a relationship to the black keys, so there's a real visual way of interpreting this. So the root and the 3rd have these two black keys in between, and that space there, this octave, just repeats here. So whatever the arpeggio shape is here is just repeated here. So root, 3rd, 5th, major 7th, root again. So in a certain sense, when piano players learn an arpeggio in any key, then they can just transpose that arpeggio really easily. And I'm not saying that guitarists have necessarily got it much harder than piano players, because guitarists, we can learn one shape of major 7th, and then that shape is movable to change key. So that's one really useful thing about that. But to change octave with that shape, so let's say we've got like C major 7th up here, to transpose that up an octave, we could go all the way up here, but it's really hard to play. So it makes sense to have that root now on the 4th string, and to get a voicing of that chord up an octave, you need to rearrange notes. What was previously the root, 7th, 3rd, 5th has to become, because of the nature of how the guitar strings are arranged, has to become root, 5th, major 7th, 3rd. So not only is there a completely different shape, we have to rearrange the order of the intervals in the voicing. So we do have it kind of tricky in certain senses, but this is where really understanding octaves makes things a lot easier and can really open up. If you know one arpeggio in one place, it makes it easier to find an arpeggio in another place. So I think it's a really important subject. What I've done here is mapped up octaves of G sharp or A flat, so just the note G sharp or A flat, right across the fretboard. So this is something, if you're not familiar with it already and you're not aware of it, I would really practice this. Just practice finding these quickly. So take a G sharp on the 4th fret, and an octave of that exists on the 1st fret of the G string. It makes sense, if that open note's a G, that's going to be G sharp. And then an octave of that can be found on the 4th fret, and it makes sense because both these strings are an E string. So if it exists on the bottom string, it's going to exist on the top string. But there's the octave in between. And then thinking about, if you know like G or E shaped bar chords, then that note there is an octave of that note. So far we mapped up this picture of, and then that can have an octave here, which is the same as that note. And then that note there can have an octave here. So we basically jumped around from there to there to there to there to there. And so now we're here, and we can have an octave here too. And we can have an octave here. So getting used to how all of these fall and where you can find them is really useful, especially when it comes to turning chords into arpeggios or transposing the octave range of a chord. So first example, I was teaching this recently, just a couple of weeks ago, to a friend, and it kind of blew his mind that he could do this with chords. So maybe you know it already, but if you don't know it already, it really opens things up for you. So let's take any minor 7 chord shape. So let's just think C minor 7. So what we've got in this is root, 5th, flat 7, minor 3rd, and that's the 5th again. And we can turn this into an arpeggio that moves in sequence by thinking, okay, so I've got a root, a 5th, what do I need in between? I need the minor 3rd. Where's the minor 3rd in the chord? So root, 5th, flat 7, there's the minor 3rd there. Let's do the octave thing using this trick, and we'll come down an octave, and that's what this square note is here. So I've basically completed the picture already, but there's the minor 3rd, there's an octave of it. Then if we've got root, minor 3rd, 5th, flat 7, minor 3rd here, the thing that we need in between is another instance of the root. So we're thinking along the lines of this kind of octave shape. So we're going to fill in that second octave there. So now we've got root, minor 3rd, 5th, flat 7, and then root again. So we're up to here. And then we can complete most of the picture using what we had in the chord already. So minor 3rd, 5th. So we've got this so far. Root, minor 3rd, 5th, flat 7, root, minor 3rd, 5th. And now if we want a flat 7 higher up, then we can just do an octave of this flat 7 here. So there's the flat 7. We're going to use that octave. So, and now we have, and we can do that to extend it further down as well. So if we take this octave type, then we can do an octave of the flat 7 that we need to extend further still down and add that in. So now we've got root, flat 7. So that's just an octave of that flat 7 there. You could think of it as an octave of that flat 7 too. And then the 5th, we're going to use this octave down. So just extending that 5th down there. So now we have this whole picture. So it's extremely useful for being able to find little mechanisms for soloing and only hitting the sweet notes in the chord. Once you know that, you can branch out. Say if you know your song is Dorian, or that chord in particular is Dorian, then knowing where the flat 7 is helps you find a major 6, which is the Dorian sound. So like, so it's good for awareness too. There's that flat 6 there. Not flat 6, major 6, sorry. So it's good for that too. Another chord example, if we take a major 7, and you can take any shape and work in any direction, and it allows you to break out and find different voicings of these arpeggios too. So let's say we take C major 7, just for the sake of it. So we're using this shape. Now it's that's like a keyboard voicing, so it's root, 3rd, 5th, 7th. And then if we take an octave of the root, we can pencil in that note. So that's just an octave of that we've added. So that's root, 3rd, 5th, 7th, root. Now to extend further down, we need another 7th. If that's a root, that's a 7th, so we're talking about that note. So we can put an octave in there. So we've got, and then we take a 5th from here, put an octave down, and we can extend it further. And then the 3rd is here, so let's take this octave type, and we'll basically take that 3rd and put it there. And then a root, if the root was there, we use this octave shape, and we just put the root in there. So now we have, from that, we can extend it further. We can take the major 7th and put it there too. So So it's extremely useful for being able to find these things. If we take, say, an inversion of the same chord, so this one's not mapped up, but it's just to demonstrate that you can do it piece by piece. So let's take first inversion, so that's third, root, fifth, seventh. So that's a first inversion C major 7. Then we can think to ourselves, okay, what's the first thing to do? We've got this gap between the third and the root. So the first thing is, we've got a major 7 up here. Third, root, fifth, major 7. So there's an octave of that major 7. Then there's the fifth. There's an octave of the fifth. So now we've got... Now there's something weird going on. We've got 7th, 5th, root. So we need an octave of the major 3rd. So we use this shape to get the major 3rd octave. Here's the major 3rd in the bass. So there's that note. So now we can go... So that's 7th, 5th, major 3rd, root, major 7th. There's the 5th, and there's the 3rd. So... And if we've got a root here, we could go either way with the root. So we could go there. So we could go. Or it maybe makes more sense to have that root there so that we can go. And if we've got a 3rd there, then we can have a 3rd there. And so on. You can arrange these in whatever way you like. So let's take a stranger chord. Let's take something weird like A7 sharp 5. So A7 sharp 5, good sort of tension chord as a chord 5 before you turn around to chord 1, which would be D major 7. So let's rearrange that so that we have an arpeggio. So root, flat 7, major 3rd, sharp 5. Let's find an octave. If we've got root, flat 7, what we need is the 2 notes in the middle that are missing. So we've got a major 3rd and a sharp 5 to add. Take an octave of the major 3rd, put it there. Take an octave of the sharp 5 and put it there. So now we have, over that chord we can play kind of augmented sounding. And then a root, octave of the root, so, and then we have the sharp 5 and 3rd that we had in the chord already. We can take, if that's sharp 5, we need a flat 7 next, so take the octave of that using this shape. So, and then we need to add an octave of the root, so we can put that up there. So we've got, and then we've got a 3rd that we can add because it fits into the area that we're working in. And we've completed that picture basically. So root, 3rd, sharp 5, flat 7, root, 3rd, sharp 5, flat 7, root, 3rd. One last thing is, like, if you want to revoice a chord, then if you take, let's say, just a minor 7, so let's take A minor 7 with a 6-string root, and let's think about, that's like a drop 2 voicing, so you've got root, 5th, flat 7 and minor 3rd. And let's say we want to put that up an octave, then you go root, root, so there's the root of our new voicing. The next note was a 5th, so now we've got these 2 notes combined. Then we've got a flat 7, root, 5th, flat 7, so let's put that up an octave. So there's root, 5th, flat 7, and then we had root, 5th, flat 7, minor 3rd, so let's put that up an octave. Root, 5th, flat 7, minor 3rd. So you can hear that they have the same function and the same voicing, like voice for voice, the same order of voices, so that's still a drop 2 voicing. So it's super useful stuff. Play about with it. That's kind of all I wanted to demonstrate with this. I just think it's really important for guitarists especially to understand how octaves work. So if you enjoyed what you saw today, please subscribe if you haven't already, hit the like button if you liked it, and I will see you next time. Thanks very much for watching. Bye bye.